Rambro here with some Grand Tactician Civil War, our CSA campaign in the 1.06 beta. Okay, what do we have going on here? Right in the tail end of the last episode, we had just finished fighting a battle here in southeastern Ohio, just outside Marietta. Hit the Army of the Cumberland pretty good, and they're still trying to disengage here post-battle on the campaign map. One of the things that happened in that battle is that we captured a fair number of prisoners. And so would be a good time to see what's going on with their POW camps. And I'm afraid it's not very good news. So here's our main camp at Columbus, Georgia. 0 prisoners. Got one up here at Madison. 0 prisoners. I think by now we have one up here at Talladega. 0. And there's one down here kind of in the Florida panhandle. It's actually in Alabama probably. 0. So, our prisoners are not going to our prison camps. And I am not sure why. There's 2 possible explanations. Much earlier in the campaigns, quite a few episodes ago, we had just the one prison camp and it was not upgraded. It had only 1,000. Oh, by the way, here's another thing I noticed on a tangent. Apparently they only upgrade to level tier 2. That's it. I was thinking there would be a tier 3 and maybe that would be 5,000 capacity. Nope. Tier 2 is as far as you can go. So this was a single camp. Didn't have the others. It was 1,000 capacity. It overcrowded. And I paroled the prisoners out of this camp. Whereupon it went back to 0, which is what I was trying to do at the time because I didn't want the northern state support issue of overcrowded POW camps. Since I did that, not a single prisoner has come into any camps at all. So there's one of 2 explanations. Either A, this is a toggle and it's a global toggle covering more than one camp. However, it doesn't seem to toggle back. So I don't know if there's some other way to stop paroling prisoners, and it's a mechanic that, you know, there's a button somewhere, somewhere other than on a prison camp that does that. Or explanation B, it's just bugged. You can turn parole on and it's supposed, you know, but it stays on. You can't turn it off. Because the way this reads, and this tooltip doesn't change, right? You know, if it was meant to be a toggle, it seems like it would shows, you know, that this, you know, it says parole prisoners. All prisoners will be paroled and sent home. And then if you toggle it again, you'd get some other tooltip, right? Like right now, it should be saying keep prisoners. All prisoners will be kept here. None of them are going to go home. That's not what happens. You press it and then you get the same tooltip. So I don't think it's supposed to be a toggle, and I think that's supposed to be... I think that's supposed to be a one-time action. That you parole the prisoners in one camp, and then they'll keep filling up after that. But that's not what's happening here. I'm on perma parole, and so I think that is a bug. I don't know. If anyone has run a, you know, if anyone has any further ideas on what's actually going on in the game mechanics, and maybe there's something I'm overlooking, please leave a comment, because I'm a little stumped on this. Alright, enough about POW camps. I noticed something interesting about forts now that I've built a couple earlier in the campaign, when they were cheaper before this current update. So both sides start with a whole bunch of pre-war forts, right? All up and down the coast, most of them. Let me go over and look at these, though. So here's 3 Confederate forts that we've had since campaign start. Fort Donelson, Fort Henry, and Fort Hyman. On the campaign, on the forts you start with now, and this is kind of new, there's a little icon just above them. You click that, and you have the option to upgrade the fort for just like a ruinous cost. And then this tooltip actually tells you what kind of weapons that fort is manned with. And these are tier 1 forts along here. And very definitely in the 1.05 and prior, they would only have like 3 or 4 guns in here. Now these tier 1 forts in here have 20 guns, and they're not regular field artillery. These are bigger weapons than what you get for artillery battalions. Alright? So yeah, the forts are a lot more expensive, but they're better armed. The campaign start ones. Now, if I go up here to one that I have recently built, let me find one. Okay, so I have built this one here, Fort Gardner outside Louisville. Player-built forts apparently do not have that icon. There is nothing here to click to get that same tooltip showing what kinds of guns are in there. And also, because don't have that icon, as far as I can tell, a player-built fort during the course of the campaign cannot be upgraded. Not that the player would do a lot of that, because that's even more expensive than the initial fort. But, so there is a difference between the campaign start forts and the player-built forts. You can see the weapons, and they appear to have more in the campaign start forts, and those can be upgraded. Player-built forts don't have either of those factors. I click on this, and it's still showing 20 guns, but I think that's because I have an artillery battalion in here. I don't think I actually have any player-built forts that isn't augmented by some extra artillery. So I don't have one that's just as built. So they're all saying 20. All 3 of them. I'm kind of considering, I haven't really talked myself fully into it yet, but I'm kind of considering building a fort here, because I want control of this rail link between Cincinnati and Marietta. And this is the one little IIP that is Union controlled that prevents that, unless I've got something parked nearby. It's influenced by Columbus, not by Marietta or Cincinnati. So I'm kind of thinking of building a fort here, because I don't really want to have to park an army here to maintain control of these 2 IIPs. Now, it might be kind of dicey. There's a lot of Union armies running around here, so that's why I haven't fully decided to do that. But when that's built, let's take a look at that and see if the unaugmented fort carries 4 guns, like it used to, or 20. Okay, that's enough about forts. Mentioned in the last episode that or maybe the episode before that we had a big batch of 14-pound James rifles just about to be delivered. Those did deliver, and I have got a lot of artillery battalions. You can see here back in the recruiting commands. You can see here that Eastern Department is projected to have 179 guns. That's because everything in here is a recruited artillery battalion, and most of these have the 14-pound James rifles. I think I actually ran out of them. I should have ordered slightly more than I did, I guess. But the vast majority of these are rifled artillery now. As a matter of fact, I actually recruited a lot of them as medium-sized just so that the James would stretch over most of them, and I still didn't quite get every last one. And then Western Department has got quite a few battalions as well. So those will take a while to arrive. Okay, 24 days for all the units coming to the Western Department, and 63 days. Okay, so it's going to be a while before the James rifles actually get out to the field armies still, because it's taking a little while for the newly formed battalions to show up. Now, the other thing that I could have done is simply go into all of these armies and simply swap them out, because all the armies have 12-pound Napoleons at the moment. I didn't do that because I like to have a mix of about half and half rifles and smoothbores in the armies, so it would have wound up kind of being a similar delay in the other direction. You know, all the armies would have rifles now, but they wouldn't have any smoothbores, which I think are good for closer range fire, and the Napoleons do pretty good damage. I'll say that it's not like I've really kept a spreadsheet and analyzed or anything and kept records, but just anecdotally, I'd say the majority of the times where we actually have a pretty good casualties inflicted number for artillery in this game, which isn't all that terribly often. Artillery is what it is in Grand Tactician. But on the few occasions that we've had, wow, artillery did a really nice job here, it's almost always smoothbore artillery that does it. And so I want the smoothbores in the armies, so I'm just leaving those battalions alone, and then we'll farm out the new rifle battalions here, whenever they come, as they come available over the next month or two. Right. In the last episode, saw something that I had never seen before. And it was novel enough that I actually kind of named titled the episode on it. And if you didn't see the episode, what happened was there's some Union armies up here, and they were trying to use this river transport to come down here to join the battle that was clearly about to happen near Marietta. And I have these little, I call them scouting squadrons, that are just one gunboat apiece. Their only purpose, the reason I built them, was simply to provide some eyes and improve intelligence along this region. I had no thought of them really doing anything else productive. That's why I only put one ship in each one. That's all that was needed for the intended role. However, there was an army coming down this way. I think it was McClellan's Army of Occupation. And our little one gunboat here, CSS Teaser, fired upon them, and it sure as heck looked to me like that embarked army turned around and went back up the river in retreat. I don't think we did any damage to it, but this fleet, it looked like, denied the river transport to the enemy. And I've never seen that before. What I've typically seen in the past is that they'll just sail on past you, just kind of ignore it. And so maybe that has been tweaked. And it's something that doesn't happen that often anyway. Maybe that was tweaked quite a while ago, and I've just never had it come up. In any case, now I'm even a bigger fan of taking these little bitty crappy fleets and just kind of infesting the rivers with them. Now, not just for vision, but also because, hey, they might actually occasionally prevent the enemy from using the river for transport. So what I've done is I took my remaining little crappy ships and made a few more of these little fleets. I just made them, so they're still, it'll take them a little while to build up their readiness. And I've also built more, what is this actually called? Ship's Tender Gunboats, which is the cheapest ship to build. I've built about 8 more of them. And now I'm just going to just carpet the Ohio River with the damn things. Gonna have about, I don't know, I have like 14 now, so I'm gonna have a little over 20 of these things all over the place. And this guy down here, he's on his way up the river. I've got pretty good coverage down here in the lower Ohio. I want to get some more up here. I don't have as many, and I'm just gonna dot gunboats all along the river, as far up as it is navigable, which I think is probably up to maybe Pittsburgh. I don't know if I need to go that far. We'll just see how far they go. Actually, that's a pretty good little... well, I want to keep this one here until there's more to fill up this part of the river. Okay. And that will do for that topic. Alright, so what's going to happen next? Well, we've got a siege ongoing at Fort Monroe, which I think is pretty close to done. A.P. Hill's 3rd Corps has just about got this fort worn down. The fort still has a big garrison, over 5,000 men. However, the condition has been worn down to 0, and the and they have no fort firepower remaining. So I think all their guns have been knocked out. Once that's done, we've got some fleets here. They're going to start hammering on this Union blockade fleet. And we're going to try to open up the port of Gosport, which is basically the port of Norfolk, Virginia, and open up the Chesapeake Bay here. That should lift some blockade as well. This is our single biggest port in the Confederacy, so that'll help economically, and it'll give us kind of an open base then to get another blockade fleet up here. We've got one kind of covering the southern New England coast, Atlantic Raiders, and they are covering, I think, 7 ports along in here, or will once time starts rolling. I'm going to bring another one and kind of block a bunch of ports in the New York area. See what the Union does about that. So far, they have built a lot of squadrons in Massachusetts. Tons of them. Like 20. At least that's what our intel report tells us. None of them have actually come out and done anything. So as long as that continues, I'm going to bring up another squadron and kind of hit this area over here. Probably can get New York Harbor and Newark. Maybe if I put them over here, it can probably cover Bridgeport. I don't know if Bridgeport's covered by Atlantic Raiders. I don't think it is. Anyway, we're just going to extend our blockade. And there aren't quite as many ports over here, but they're pretty big. Yeah, New York is doing 34 million. New York Harbor 26. Actually, I have not looked at our own ports since the 1.0627 update that kind of made all the big econ changes. Let's see how our Gulf ports are doing here. New Orleans was before somewhere in the neighborhood of like maybe 4 million. Now it is 16 million. How's Biloxi doing? $14 million. Mobile, 16 million. Okay. It's not really that they're doing more trade, it's just the scale of everything has ramped up. So they've roughly tripled. And that is consistent with what we're seeing with subsidies and all that sort of thing. What's Pensacola doing? 9.4. I've never seen anything that told me that forts actually do anything to impede trade. So I've never seen a positive indication of that, but I mean, Pensacola isn't showing blocked. And nothing in this info panel really indicates that it's getting affected by that fort. I mean, it should, right? It should just completely close this off. But as far as I've seen, they don't. I wonder if... Yeah, you can see the same information for an enemy fort, too. Here's all the guns in it. Let's actually look at the one being sieged and see if it tells us anything. Yeah, it's showing that there's a bunch of weapons still here, but I think that just may be the default loadout. Like what it would have if we hadn't banged them up. Because this panel is showing 0 fort firepower. And also 0 condition. So I'm kind of hoping that we get the Hampton Roads area cleaned out soon. Okay, meanwhile, we've just fought this battle here, and so we've used up some ammunition. I'm just going to pull Beauregard's army just back across the river so that they can replenish. And I have noticed that it used to be that whenever armies had supply problems up through 1.05, usually the biggest item that they were short on was provisions. That doesn't always seem to be the case now. It seems like artillery ammunition is turning into the scarcest item in supply depots. Matter of fact, I'm kind of having to move. I had to move Hill's Corps a little bit just to get him down to a supply depot that had Arty ammunition in it, because he was drawing from this captured one, but there was none there to draw. But now it's filled back up a little bit at Hillsborough, so I might actually... Yeah, he came down here and sucked the Covington depot dry, because it's emptied out now, and his army is still short 45%. So I think I'm about to move him back up to Hillsborough. For some reason I was moving him here and I completely forgot why. Oh, I think I was going to show the fort. Yeah, I moved him just a little bit just to have one of these player-built forts within combat radius of a field force, just to show that even when an army is close enough to build a fort, you still don't get that icon, and therefore cannot upgrade. That's why I was moving him. But as it is now, I'm just going to move him right back over here, so that he this should be close enough, just so he can draw some more artillery ammo from the Hillsborough Depot. Which brings up some. Let me move Johnston back up so he remains within. Well, no. Johnston's command radius reaches up to here. That's fine. So the implications of that, following some combat, we might just be like hopscotching our armies to various depots to refill their dang artillery, even if they're otherwise in good supply. Okay, let's get time rolling. Don't know why that fleet is moving. I didn't tell him to go anywhere. Oh, he stopped. Okay. Okay, now the Army of the Potomac is headed back to Grafton. Let's move this gunboat up so we have good vision on anything crossing the river up here. It begs the question of where the Army of Occupation is. Nope. There's another gunboat I brought up here. So now the Army of the Potomac looks like they want to head this way toward Marietta. Let's get Beauregard's army. Hold on. Let's get this army back across the river. Yeah, Hardy's Corps is low on artillery ammo. And the supply depot has been sucked dry following that battle. Well, he stopped Tierney's entrenching. So I don't think he was going for... Oh, look at that. Beauregard's got a perk. And I forgot what I was using for my first army perk. Let's go see what I have on Johnston. I think it's embedded reporters for more fame buildup. Yeah, embedded reporters, pontoon train for supply, and engineers. What Garnet? Okay. I saw earlier he had a perk. I gave him the ambulance. Hardy's Corps, I think, is filled up all 3 perks. Going ambulance, flying column, and land torpedoes in the down at the corps level. I thought I saw somebody else that needs a perk somewhere. Is it Hill? Yeah, ambulance corps. Oh no! Is it finally happening? Stonewall Jackson is finally back. He was gone almost a year. like maybe 10 and a half or 11 months, because he was wounded very early. I suspect he's been malingering. Got half a mind to court-martial. That's a joke, by the way. I don't think there's any court-martial mechanic. Okay, Stonewall Jackson. Let's just see what happened to his stats. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. He may have lost... I don't know. I think he's about where he was. I'm not sure he did lose anything. Okay. So, I am going to put Jackson here back in command. Well, not back in command because he never got to that point. He was a division commander. I'm going to go ahead and put Jackson in command of the 2nd Corps. And now that leaves Joe Johnston available. And I want to create... I'm not going to do it just yet, but he's available for when I'm ready to create another independent army in this Cairo, Evansville area. You know what? Ewell's Corps is not in Johnston's army right now. I see no reason not to just do that now. So let's create... Okay, now I can create a army in Kentucky. I could not before. Alright. Nice. So we'll create it in Kentucky. And Army of Kentucky is a fine name. We'll just pop Ewell's Corps right underneath Johnson. If I can't, because this is a Corps level command. Okay, so have been talking about this for a few episodes. The fact that I can create these armies with corps in them after having researched Military 2, which I went ahead and did it, even though I knew I wasn't really supposed to. That was a bug. We're supposed to have to research a project called Organization Reform. Yeah, this isn't going to happen, so. And that is here. This guy, Organization Reform. This is the project that's supposed to allow that Army Corps structure. And it wasn't working. Military 2 was still, you could still do it. And so that was not intended. Now, whether the game should be that way, that's a completely different discussion. But clearly, at least in this, as it is now in the beta, that project is needed, and the player was able to bypass it. So it looks like that has been fixed. And I am not able to create that independent army. So basically, it's just Ewell's Corps. He is the independent army, and that's about all there is to it, and that's fine. I didn't have an intention of putting more than one corps into that army anyway. There we go. Fort Monroe is done. Glorious victory. Butler surrenders. And that'll free up Butler. He can take command of a field army somewhere. That'd be great. Ooh, and we captured a bunch of small arms from that, too. Nice. Oh, I wonder if we captured all those guys. 5,400 captured. Okay. Capture the entire garrison. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that... Are they actually in the prison? That's the wrong... Are they actually in the prison camps? If I can actually find the prison camp. No, they are not. Where'd they all go? We paroled them all. Because we don't know how to unparole. Alright, well that sucks. Okay, let's see here. Fort Monroe Garrison. Well, isn't that interesting? So this is a pre-war fort, but I'm seeing a little hint of an old icon there. But only in the smoke. There we go, we got conscription. Okay, so our national morale is going to drop a little bit. However, I think that this occurred in time that we should not have lost any men in the... I think we caught it in time that our next batch of 12-month units should not have been affected. I'm just going to a place where I know there's a couple. And let's check. Yeah. So this the Polignac brigade here, this was one of those. They were coming due in about a month. And yeah, they're 36 months now, and we caught them in time before they lost all their guys. Well, that worked. Which means it is time to look at a new policy. And to be honest, I hadn't really thought ahead to what that might be. I wouldn't mind the credit rating. It is starting to drop. We're at BBB. However, that comes with a public wealth drop. I don't think I'm worried enough to take that yet. But this Revenue Act. -1 support. I think we can afford -1 support. Nothing down here is available yet. We have to get to the end of 1862 for any of these. And I was holding off on impressment because of Virginia, which I have dawdled in addressing. Okay, imports more lucrative, protect nations' industries. Downside, relations with Europeans -10. I don't think I really care about the relations with Europeans. I'm going to do Tariff Act. Make sure there's no policies available that I really want. Can't do King Cotton. I've gone as far with industrial as I can. I've gone as far with military as I can. I've gone as far with government funding as I can. And I'm not terribly interested with the Diplomacy subsidies. I mean, as it does fill up, I'm kind of taking the level of trade deals whenever they come available. Other than that, I'm not pursuing any of the European weapons. So, yeah, the main policies, for the next 5 to 6 months, I can't do any of those. So, I'm going to go ahead and do the Tariff Act. Is that going to be not even 3 weeks? Okay, cool. Cool with that. Let's see what we're doing. Let's see how we're doing on these projects here. Not seeing anything in political that jumps out at me. If plantation mech affected all things that plantations produced, this would be a possibility. However, it only specifically increases cotton production. I kind of like to get some more rice going. Yeah, there's no diplomacy available. But military. I'm kind of happy with the James as it is. I'm not going to take these. Rebores, no. I think I'm okay for weapons. So what I'm interested in is logistics reforms to make supply cheaper for the armies and bring down our ruinous army upkeep costs. So I'm saving military subsidy for that. Yeah, I don't see any subsidies to take right now. However, I do feel like I need to do something with my agricultural subsidies, which have built up pretty good. And kind of was looking in a previous episode that our crops, wool, livestock supply production looked pretty good. So I'm not feeling that I need more farms. We are low on rice, and rice comes from plantations. So I think I'm going to do another plantation, which I think, so we need a rice. Let's look at the rice fertility. Okay, apparently that's over in South Carolina and Georgia. And it seems like for that building type we need a high slavery area as well. Kind of looks like down here just right outside Savannah, where there is also a port and a railroad. I think right in here looks pretty good. Well, no. Look at that environment tooltip. It's looking for workforce. I don't think there is a lot of workforce around here. Well, there's some. It's not showing a whole lot. Anyway, up here I've got plenty of workforce, but no rice fertility. Huh. Not finding a good spot in the fertility zone. Oh, I think I'm just going to go with this I mean, there's other spots with more workforce and other spots with more fertility, but this right in here kind of looks like the best balance between rice fertility and workforce, even though I'm kind of questioning it really ought to be this. Yeah, I'm putting it there. It'll have to do. And we've got so brickworks, foundries, and lumber mills. Those are all industrial, and I'm saving industrial subsidies for yet another factory. Okay. So, now, Third Corps can head on up into Northern Virginia. Just bring him up to Winchester for now. Not that way. Let's turn off the water transport there. Okay, that looks fine. Come on up. And so what I want to do with these fleets now is I just want to send them out one at a time. I don't want all of them engaging at once. So the big squadron, I'm going to put that on defensive for now so it won't reinforce. And I'm going to put Raidron 2 on defensive for now. And that leaves Raidron 1 to make the first attack. And yeah, full green readiness. They're all the way up. So I think all the other forts are as well. And let's come on out here and... Oh, nope. Need to put them in raid mode. There we go. Alright, go. Oh shit, they're all going. I thought that meant they weren't supposed to reinforce if they were in defensive stance. What the hell? Okay, well, we got one big battle. Well, okay. I mean, if it's happening anyway, go ahead and go to offensive stance. I mean, it's going way in their favor, and it should. Okay. Now... But hopefully that wore them down a little bit. 4 ships sunk, 6 captured, barely afloat. Fine, they're retreating. But now that they've done what they can do, let's send the Hampton Roads Squadron to engage. They weren't in that battle. Okay, let's see how this battle's doing. Okay, this one's in our favor. Let's look at this is so now we can actually see kind of what he's got. Okay, so there's some steamers here. There's some steam frigates. These are what? Sloop of wars. Don't see any ironclads here. Now, these are all river. Why couldn't they just retreat back up to one of these? Oh, because they're blockaded, maybe. Maybe they're not eligible. Fort Gardner besieged. Oh, what's going on here? At Louisville. Interesting. Well, before I overreact to this, yeah, he's assaulting, and it is clearly in his. I need to get Ewell up here quickly, like force march quickly. So he'll come up here, and it won't immediately be a tactical battle. It's just going to be he's joining the siege, but then I'll be able to convert that. There we go. Atlantic blockading squadron in retreat. 2 enemy ships sunk. 6 ships captured. So our captured ships from the first attack, we got them back. Let me just pause for a second here. Okay, what's the status of this fleet that picked up, like, apparently no perk slot XP for that battle? But we've got this port open, and this blockade should be ending momentarily. That's got to help, right? And the condition of this force: 99, 97, 98, 90. Yeah, we don't even really have to do many repairs. I mean, we do on the capture. Oh, we got some nice. It wasn't just steamers. We got another frigate. Captured a couple of sloops of war. This will be a really nice. So these captured ships will actually be really nice additions to that New York blockading fleet I was talking about. So I'm just gonna move these over into the pool while they repair. That'll take a while. And this force is actually still fine. Just send them back down to port, just to top off. And then maybe I'll send them down the coast and beat up on this squadron. Where are they going? Okay. They're going to Morehead City. That's fine. Yeah, see, I mean, this port's blockaded too. That's not what I wanted. So if this was eligible for these river fleets, why the heck wasn't like Rocket's Landing or well, Hampton was too close. Why couldn't they have come up here to Rocket's Landing instead? I don't know. Naval stuff is weird in Grand Tactician. Okay. So let's see if Ewell can get up here fast enough to prevent this fort from falling. Which will complicate things, because then it's going to be a Union fort that we have to recapture. Go, Ewell, go! Oh, shit. I just thought of something. He needs to be in offensive stance. Oh, well, he's in the battle now. But he needs to be in offensive stance, because if the army is not in offensive stance, then you don't get this assault option to convert the siege into a tactical battle. But he was, and we have that option. Interestingly, it's now registering the presence of all his troops. And this bar didn't shift. Which means I think we need to fight a tactical battle regardless. Otherwise, the fort will still fall. And not only the fort will fall, but Ewell will then be put into retreat mode and probably have morale penalties and all that kind of crap. So I think that the defense of Fort Gardner and the defense of Louisville will be right where we pick up in the next episode. If you like what we're doing with the channel, you like the content, all this Grand Tactician stuff, and I got several other campaigns too, not just this one, posted on YouTube. Then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. But at any rate, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it.